Hello everyone, and welcome to week 6, the penultimate week of The Scoop. And I'm here with the person holding the spoon themselves, Sheath Gelden. Please say hello to the people.
It's been 337 hours, and they won't let me stop!
You will never stop
what?
holding the spoon.
Content.
Oh, I thought you meant holding the spoon, because I said that you
And
were holding the spoon. It is a comically large spoon, just for everyone to be aware.
Yeah.
It is a comically large spoon.
It's the content spoon.
I don't know if you guys have seen the, I'm pretty sure, like, this is very popular with the kids, very modern and relevant, but the, my spoon is too big.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
I see you played Knifey Spoony before.
Spoon.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so, here we are. First match. Once again, I actually don't remember any of the order thing, but I'm just going to say, once again, LS going above and beyond to make sure they're playing first in the week. Now, LS coming into a matchup against the one who absolutely trounced me last week. The Pancake Mix themselves. They who cannot be denied. So, let's see what the one, the only LS has heading into this week. So if we look at this matchup, we see Kilowattrel's faster than the entire opponent's team, and then Glasgow's faster than the entire team. However, their Trick Room matchup is a lot less strong, right? Because they've got two Pokemon that underspeed Beartick, and nothing that underspeed Rhydon or Reuniclus. And they don't really have, like, amazing candidates for, like, a speed drop item. Like, Empoleon's okay because it does threaten both Rhydon and Beartick. Flareon's not really great because it really does appreciate the Toxic Orb for the damage, or, like, a Specs if you're running Special or something like that.
Yeah.
So, it's something where I think the Trick Room is the thing, and this is also, if you look at it, a matchup where the other major speed control option that we've historically seen LS pop off with a few times, no, once so far actually only, is the Decidueye and Wartortle for Swamp. And that's also, this is also a matchup where I think it's pretty good, because realistically, it's going to mean there are a number of Pokemon on this team that are outspeeding this team, even if they do get Tailwind up, right? So if they're trading Tailwind for a significant chip of damage into one of their Pokemon, and then also losing all their Tailwind turns to Swamp, it's not going to look great, right? The Kilowattrel's going to be going first, and it's got super effective stab into both of those Pokemon, but if they're not too worried about that particular turn, I think the Swamp lead is pretty good. In general, this team also, like, doesn't really like Decidueye. It's really only got the Kilowattrel, the Flareon, and then to a lesser extent Gliscor and Skuntank that are able to threaten it, and then like kinda Robska, but Robska's I think not super keen on taking hits in this particular matchup. So I think if you're sitting here on this side, you're like, okay, most likely I'm either going to get speed control and then turning that into KO's turn 1, or I'm going to be behind on speed control and I need to be able to weather their team or to be able to trade favorably, right? So I need to be able to take advantage of the turns where they're setting up speed control to get KOs and then make favorable trades while behind on speed control, or I need to prevent them getting that speed control in the first place and just sort of going at them. I think this team does have like a pretty decent number of options there. You know, Kilowattrel, offensive Brambleghast, potentially like a Swords Dance Gliscor is a decent option. Like even like a Toxic Heal set is reasonably good here. It's able to get its HP back up. Like the HP recovery and stall out, and you know, take advantage of the opposing Trick Room turns. Even like a Protect Roost can probably start a decent number of things with a good Terra. And then they also have like a potential option for Roost on Empoleon. Now they do have like a few trickier options that they could sort of bring. Like we mentioned, the Empoleon is reasonably well set. This is something where you could sort of do the Intimidate competitive shenanigans, but I'd be concerned that maybe that's a little bit slow. You're relying on Muddy Water to get your damage output there, and that's obviously not as consistent as you might hope.
But what's Intimidate like?
You click... Okay, this has happened before this season. You click Skill Swap with Statler into the opposing Pokemon so they intimidate your Empoleon.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yes. Welcome to the only niche that Statler had for several generations.
That is still very slow, though.
Yeah, but if you're like using Sustain, obviously the Intimidate is slowing your opponent down, and then you have the Sustain option on the Empoleon, right? So it's okay. But it's like it's definitely a shenanigan that you consider bringing in this matchup. but it's definitely not one that is like guaranteed to always work out 100%
Yeah, like
always for you.
it's...
And like
Yeah,
this
I
team
think-
really does not like taking hits on Rhydon.
Yeah, like
Rhydon
it's-
D's nuts.
Rhydon's quite strong. I think a lot of the Pokemon it doesn't love taking hits from Beartic as well.
Yeah.
Like it's got some Pokemon that can do it okay, but Beartic's got coverage for it. It doesn't. I don't think it particularly loves taking hits from like even Heracross. They're switching to Heracross.
Heracross, like I was saying earlier, Decidueye.
Gliscor.
I mean,
And
like
the Bramble
Rotoms,
yeah.
Mabostiff, Reuniclus. I mean, even like a Shell Smash Wartortle. This team doesn't really love a lot of the offensive profile that the Mons on the opposing team have. Clearly, Eevee, absolutely broken. But, you know, aside from that as well.
I mean, Banded, Terra Normal, Double
Extreme
Edge.
Speed, man. I love Terra Normal with adaptability, you know, for that extra 0.15x boost. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. It's powerful.
They really did not want Eevee to succeed the way that they set up adaptability this gen. But yeah, I think that this is a team which has got a lot of bruises that this team really needs to either play offensively around or needs to have a really concrete defensive game plan into. And I think Intimidate can play a part of that. I do think that like a defensive Gliscor could play a part of that. But absolutely the offensive game plan seems pretty straightforward to go with. A Revival Blessing is also a neat tool that Pancake they did use earlier this season to like help stall out an opposing Trick Room or whatever. On the last turn they used Revival Blessing to get an extra Pokemon. And did you know 5 Pokemon are harder to kill than 4? You wouldn't know that because you've never had to play against Revival Blessing in this format ever.
Yeah, let me check the numbers on this one. Just
so
okay.
Definitely something where
I'm sending them to
you
the
really-
boys in the lab.
you wouldn't be surprised to see most of these mons come. Maybe you think this isn't a Grumpig week. This definitely does seem like a Wartortle Decidueye pretty reasonable. You could see Rotom. You could definitely see Beartic and Rhydon coming. Heracross, very viable. Reuniclus, I think you'd only expect it not to come if Grumpig was there, and even then you'd probably still expect it to come.
I could, yeah. I don't know if I don't remember if you mentioned it because I just zoned out. Mabostiff coming with the guard dog ability, quite cool.
Yeah, I love +1
Is that
speed.
what it is? Yeah. It's, you know, it's not like if you really are worried about like the intimidate shenanigans, like Mabostiff is.
Or you could have
pretty
clams.
good. Clams.
The Clamulet.
That too, but you know, +1 speed.
So yes,
huh?
let's take a look at the team preview here. So we see the GOAT themselves bringing out their Trick Room core of 2 Trick Room setters, Robsker and Stantler, the Wigglytuff, the Menace themselves. We see the Brambleghast, we see Empoleon as a potential Tailwind setter and Gliscor as a potential Tailwind setter for that Brambleghast, but we do not see Kilowattrel, which is obviously something that you're like, okay, you know, that feels alright. And then we see the Rotom here, and we look at this team, and we see that it has just like the Brambleghast and Gliscor as Rotom checks. If this is a Toxic Heal Gliscor, you know, Hex is obviously quite annoying. In general, Shadow Ball isn't necessarily something you love taking. Wigglytuff should be able to take it on okay, depending on what the Wigglytuff has to do back to it. But like a Nasty Plot Rotom could be quite a problem, because there's really only the Gliscor faster. But yeah, we do see, like we said, the potential Swamp Core with the Wartortle Decidueye. We don't see the Reuniclus here, which makes you think, certainly if you're sitting here, that this is probably Electroweb on Rotom, and very likely the Decidueye and Wartortle are Swamp. And then you're like, okay, who's the Scarfer? Is it Heracross? This actually doesn't necessarily seem like it's a Scarf Heracross week. There's really only like 2 guys here that the Scarf is important for. It might be the Scarf Beartic week, because both those guys that Scarf is important for, you're not really beating Gliscor with a Scarf Heracross as well as you're beating with a Scarf Beartic, right? I think if you look at this, you also see that Scarf Rhydon is faster than the entire team, which is something. As the consequence of not bringing Kilowattrel, but also maybe a consequence of Rhydon not caring about Kilowattrel in the first place. So I think you know, it could be Scarf Rotom as well, is the other thing I didn't say. And that Scarf Rotom could be a bit annoying, depending on what its moveset is. Like I said, the E-Web is definitely also a potential option, next to like a Guts Heracross.
Or
it could be Scarf Rain Dance.
There's no... I'm still a bit shocked there's no Kilowattrel. Like, I can understand it with, like, I guess you're a bit pressured offensively by Beartic,
so
and then there's the
we've
Rhydon,
got the Rhydon
like
and the Rotom, right?
Issue.
Both of which check it pretty well. So I can understand it not coming. I mean, it depends what you'd want to drop on the opposing team, right? So are you looking to drop Robska, which is your main Trick Room check? Probably not. Are you looking to drop Brambleghast? Probably not. Then these two are pretty mainstays. So the question is it Wigglytuff? And then you have to ask, okay, well, why is Wigglytuff here? And Kilowattrel
I'm a Wigglytuff hater.
And the answer is
it's Wigglytuff.
because the same reason that I mentioned Empoleon competitive, Wigglytuff also has competitive.
Yeah.
Like, if I see this Wigglytuff here, I mean, Kilowattrel also has competitive, but I see this Kilowattrel here, I think,
yeah,
that Statler's got Skill Swap. That Statler's almost definitely got Skill Swap.
Yeah, but, yeah, like, as you said, though, Kilowattrel.
Yeah, but the Kilowattrel, like I said, the Kilowattrel's not going to beat through an Eviolite Rhydon with a +2 Air Slash, you know?
Yeah, I guess. That is,
it's like the similar thing with its Rotom matchup, though it probably is going to beat through a Rotom with a +2 Hurricane. So, I get, yeah, like they chose to bring Wigglytuff. There probably could have been a Kilowattrel. I think this team is probably built in a way where it's relatively insured against Kilowattrel, but we'll see. I think if you're leading LS, you've seen a Kilowattrel, you should feel incredibly comfortable going for Swamp Lead, if that's what you brought. And then on the opposing side...
What are you doing in my swamp?
We don't know that for sure yet. Also, what a random time. This is like the 8th time I've said swamp that you've decided to pick up on it. I think that you could probably see like an Intimidate lead, because we see 4 physical attackers and then potentially a 5th physical attacker in the War Turtle. Though I will note, Decidueye does have Scrappy, which is probably here because, you know, Brambleghast. So it's not likely to be affected by Intimidate.
And one of these are likely to have
one of them
amulet.
may have a Clam. So, I think, yeah, Statler, and then depending on how you want the game pace to go, you could lead Empoleon, you could lead Robska, you could theoretically lead Gliscor. I think those are sort of your main options there. I'm not super loving like a Statler Bramble lead. You could just lead Tailwind, Gliscor plus Bramble though, and that's probably pretty reasonable. And then you've got Witch. I wouldn't recommend leading Wigglytuff unless it's got a support move there that enables Rabska to set Trick Room. That's probably the other way I would consider weak. So, turn 1. I turned the music on. I apologize to every single person in the audience.
I didn't hear it because I'm broken.
Yeah.
I'm actually
I've finally made the mistake of all YouTubers of accidentally recording it. I think I've probably done this in like a video several years ago, but I don't think I've done this generation. I've probably done it while watching it myself, but I don't think I've done it on video. I apologize. I also don't watch replays that much on video, so that probably helps. So, like I said, we do see the Statler Gliscor. We see the Intimidate come out. Sorry, we wait 2 seconds. We see Scrappy come out. I think if you're on the other side, you probably want to try and set up the Gliscor offensively. Like I mentioned, part of what the Gliscor wants to hopefully be able to do is to, like if it is like a Toxic Heal, Poison Heal version. Actually, it's probably Hypercutter if they are Skill Swap competitive. Just in case. No, that doesn't really matter because you'd never skill swap any of the other abilities. Yeah, unless it's like Lightning Rod, or Guts, I guess. Actually, Guts is probably pretty good to swap off. So you consider Hypercutter. Hypercutter also covers from a Boss Diff Intimidate, but I honestly think Poison Orb, Poison Heal, Toxic Orb seems reasonable into this team with like a Terra Water, because if you can get a Sword Stance up, Facade does go pretty good into the opposing team. It's just really the Rotom there that you have to worry about. Which you had to anyways, because you're Terra Water. Probably don't have to be Terra Water. I just didn't want to think about what the specific Terra would be. Water is okay, though. But yeah. Here, like, neither of these Pokemon... Like, you'd expect a double up to threaten the Gliscor, but you wouldn't expect, like, an Ice Beam from War Turtle to KO. So you'd think that they would need a double up to pressure the Gliscor.
It's, like, scarily surprisingly offensive, but War Turtle's got, like...
Yeah, depends how offensive your Gliscor is as well.
Yeah.
I think Wartor's got, what, like, 60 odds special attack?
I was thinking 60, so I'm going to say it's 60.
I thought it was like 64 or some random number.
Bigger than 4.
War Turtle. 65 special attack. There you go.
See, it is 60.
No, it isn't. It's 65. Anyways, so...
It's always 60.
I think Gliscor's probably got a higher... Sorry, Decidueye's probably got a higher special attack. So, actually... Just thinking, the Decidueye could... I just said you don't want to lead Tailwind next to Statler, because then Statler's abusing Tailwind. Anyway, it's fine. The Decidueye could actually be full special if it's Grass Pledge as well, because I think it's got, like, 90 special attack or something? I know the regular one has 100. I know that there's a different amount for the...
It's got 95.
95.
It's got 95.
Not as good as regular Decidueye. But it could definitely be special.
Where do all of its stats
Psycho comes out.
Why is this Pokemon?
Psyshock comes out. Okay. So the thing I was saying about how Tailwind doesn't really support Stanler to be effective, it just did the 30% to the Decidueye. So I would suggest that that's accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, Water Pledge, Grass Pledge comes out. That's Swamp.
The Swamp!
And we do see the Toxic Orb come off. And we see the Ice Beam come out, which is the exact same thing I said that to worry about. And even funnier, they remove Scrappy, which is probably defending for the Gramblgast. And we see Nasty Plot come out, which is really fun. I like fun things and things that promote enjoyment. And would you look at that? That would have knocked out an Empoleon. They do reveal the Cobra Berry. So if you think about it, Kilowattrel wouldn't have done anything at any point. And we see, Protect come out. The question is, do we see the attack? The attack goes in, but the Bramblgast does take it pretty well. And the Bramblgast does retain its Wind Rider boost. Now, like I said, Scarf Rhydon. Did anyone notice the Scarf Rhydon there?
Yeah.
So it moved faster than the Beartic, but that could have just meant that the Beartic was slower.
Slow, yeah.
That's a Scarf Rhydon.
Yeah.
And what did I say? The Scarf Rhydon faster than the history, every Pokemon in the history of Pokemon.
And
now we see the Icicle Crash come out. So that high horsepower damage is pretty relevant into this Life Orb Empoleon, because it means even if it gets a KO, it's going to faint itself this next turn. We see the Bramblgast go down, and we see the Empoleon, unless it's looking Roost here, or potentially Tailwind of its own, or some other support move. But most likely, I think we expect the Beartic to go down here. So the question is, the Empoleon, with the Empoleon, Bramblgast, and Rhydon all going down this turn, can Wartortle beat Gliscor and Stantler by itself? And considering the Stantler is Psyshock, the answer seems like yes, but we'll see. No, obviously, yeah, very difficult to check that out, but that Life Orb chip, very helpful. Convenient to be at max health. Intimidate here. We've seen Water Pledge and Ice Beam, so that's not a great sign for the Gliscor, who cannot Terastallize. The question is, can the Stantler beat the Wartortle? And it really depends on what these last moves are. If these last moves are...
What if the Wartortle is like for some reason Terra Dark and Stantler doesn't have another attacking move, which it genuinely might not.
That's true. It is not Terra. Man, can you imagine if that Beartic Terra'd and lived?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would have lived. It was a +2 Flash Cannon. But yeah. I think the water is probably the best type.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really depends on what these last moves are. We see this as a support set. We saw it go next to a Cobra Berry, Nasty Plot, Decidueye. So Life Dew is something that you're hoping, if you're on Team Pancake right now, that they're really hoping that it's not Life Dew. If it's not Life Dew, no chance it ever wins. If it is Life Dew, it's really a question of how the damage works into Stantler, right? So with all of these Pokemon in the back down, the question is, can the Wartortle do it? You expect it to be able to pin down Gliscor. But if it's like Helping Hand Fake Out, or if it's Protect, Flip Turn, all these sort of moves that can fit in that slot, it's unlikely to be able to take the Gliscor hit and then still be able to 1v1 the Stantler. But if it's got Life Dew, it's very likely to be able to beat the Stantler.
I think a lot of it also depends on like what Stantler's EV spread is, because like I could imagine.
We just saw that Psyshock hit the Decidueye for super effective damage, and it did nothing.
So it's basically
Psyshock is not a very good move from a non-stab Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that it's not stab.
But yeah, so the thing is, look at that 12%, right?
Oh, that is bad.
So the Gliscor is entirely pinned down. The Rock Slide here is I mean, it's not doing any damage. The Rock Slide's a support move.
It's about the same as.
I mean, if this Gliscor doesn't even have like a ground move, it's not a great sign.
Well, it's gonna win the race at this point.
Yeah, Life Dew. There you go.
Until the Life Dew. Okay.
Yeah. So the question is, maybe if the Stantler has rest.
How much PP does Life Dew have?
Life Dew has 16 power points, and Psyshock also has 16 power points. And I think currently we don't expect we expect the last two moves on this Stantler to be Trick Room and Imprison.
Yeah, or Protect.
Because they let it. They did lead it. So I think Trick Room and Imprison are my bets. I think it probably would have considered clicking Protect at some point. But yeah, this Gliscor last move, you really have to wonder what it is. Is it like Sword Stance Mono Rock Slide? I don't know if Rock Slide is a great bring. If it was Roost, they probably would have gone for it over Rock Slide. But not guaranteed.
It could have been Earthquake.
Also, did that Water Pledge... Actually, I don't think they ever got into range of us being able to check if it was Torrent or Rain Dish.
Yeah.
Because it's possible the last move is Rain Dance for a speed boost on Beartic. And then potentially Rain Dish recovery. Like, that is something that is not like the first thing you expect, but it is potentially an option.
think has that been bought before? I think
No,
it might have
Heracross
been.
had Rain Dance.
Oh,
last time.
yep, gotcha.
I think the Beartick had Rain Dance. I don't think the War Turtle did, but it might have. I just don't remember it clicking it. So, coming into this next game,
well,
you consider Robska? I mean, can you imagine that same game, except they were able to resurrect the either the Brambleghast or the Empoleon from the dead?
I have, in fact, gotten the results back from the boys in the lab.
I'd like to point out, they almost
Pokemon
PP
is
stalled
harder
the
to kill
Psyshocks.
than 4. 5 is harder to kill than 4.
I'm glad that the boys got back to you from the lab.
Yeah.
I don't know how they were testing that, probably by cheating, because it's illegal to have more than 4 Pokemon, except if they drafted Robska or Palmet, and Palmet was banned, and Robska's clearly on Pancake's team, and unless the alleged boys in the lab was Pancake themselves,
I cannot reveal the identities of the boys who happen to be in the lab. Just the fact is,
I'm feeling a little bit suspicious. So do you adapt the lead on this end? And to be honest, I think you could strongly consider just leaving the Scarf Rhydon. You know, I might be. It might be that I'm a Scarf Rhydon gamer, but I'm a bit of a Scarf Rhydon gamer right here.
I think,
like, especially if this is like a Discharge Rotom. I like the Disquake lead.
Yeah, Disquake lead.
I think you have shown that Gliscor is not an effective lead, so they're disincentivized from leading it. Therefore, you should bring the thing that isn't Gliscor, and also ignore the fact that the Empoleon has Terra Grass. Just ignore that completely.
It has what?
Terra. Yeah, exactly. So, and then how do you adapt from this lead? I feel like you still have to lead.
Have a
weird team.
More trip-proof
like the Robska lead is a pretty decent option.
Yeah,
I actually don't hate.
More of a slower team.
Like I feel like the if the Gliscor was next to Brambleghast and it was giving Brambleghast +1 attack, that was good into the Swamp lead. But I don't know if you're necessarily prepping around playing around the Swamp lead. I think you would not be surprised if they mixed it up. Well, sorry. Also, the other thing I meant to say earlier on was, I mean, there's many things that I meant to say. So this turn, I talked about what you can determine from this turn. As you see, the damage go out here. I think at this point, you should obviously be aware that they're both pretty specially attacky oriented. So, unfortunately, that shows that this is really just for the damage itself, and it's not going to help the sustain at all. So then you need to consider the what their opponent has in the back here. And I actually don't think this is broadcast much of what they have in the back. I think maybe you're like, okay, at this point the Scarf is probably not Heracross, because you probably would like a Moxie, sorry, not Moxie, like a Guts Heracross to take advantage of this, or even just like a Life Orb Moxie set.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't tell you much about the Rhydon, the Rotom, and the Beartick, outside of the fact that it's probably the Rhydon or the Beartick that's Scarf, and I would probably still be leaning towards the Beartick. And then when you see the Empoleon come out of the back, I think you're fairly certain that it's Brambleghast in the back, that they're just leading their fast mode. It could theoretically be Robska, but it's very likely Brambleghast, especially since they did go for that really early Tailwind. So then on this turn, you see the Rhydon come out, and then you learn that the Rhydon is Scarf, and that's pretty important information to have. Seeing that the Empoleon here is Life Orb, I think at this point you're thinking the Brambleghast might be Sash, but you certainly don't know that for sure. It depends on how much their high horsepower damage is. I don't have the calcs built into my head, I'm sorry. But at this point,
you can
also
an update for that.
See that the Beartick is Icicle Crash, not Icicle Spear. And at that point, I think you're thinking it's probably Clear Amulet, to try and avoid the Intimidate sort of nonsense. It could theoretically be Assault Vest, and I don't think you know that for sure, because I think... Oh no, sorry, you see it's Life Orb. I apologize.
You fool.
I'm just the worst person ever.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it was Life Orb. Yeah. I mean, I think even if it was Assault Vest, it probably still died to that Flash Cannon. And I think the other thing you consider is that the Beartick may be Terra Ice, because otherwise I think it's reasonably likely to Terra in that position. But the Rhydon also didn't Terra. Like, none of the Terras went off this game, even though very likely the Rhydon and Beartick Terras would have saved the Pokemon.
Well, I think that was just, LSU they were going to win, so they just kept it hidden behind closed doors. Give as little information as possible, play the cards
I'm sure 100% that was what it was going for.
Yeah, money talk.
Yeah. totally no way that the attacks went the other way around, and you know, the Beartic got taken out by the Polty or whatever. But yeah,
it's just knowing what board.
Heading into the second game, you've got this is Eviolite, this is Eviolite, this is Toxic Orb, this is very possibly Sash, and you know this is Life Orb. So you're thinking maybe Salt Fest or Citrus Berry on one of these two, and then potentially Mental Herb on the Robska, or the other thing is both these mons are both Throat Spray candidates, with the Bug Buzz from Robska and the Hyper Voice from Wigglytuff. So they could be more defensive, or they could be designed around the more
mid-range. They could also be like
damage
reduced berries as well, like
the resist berries. I mean, I don't know if you're really that worried about like steel and poison in this matchup.
No, specifically Charty Berry.
On Robska? Yeah, could be Charty, but it could also, on the same thing, be Cassie Berry. Or like it could have been Colbur for the Mavostiff that didn't come, or it could be Koba for the Decidueye, like Brave Bird, which is.
I think it's much more likely on the Rabscott than on the.
Yeah, I don't think there's a particularly major steel or poison concern. Though I'm happy to double check back here. If we look at it, we see no steel type and no poison type, so stick with that. So now we come to this incredible turn. Different lead. I think that I probably lead like Ride and Rotom here, and then just do the other two in the back. And if I'm on the other side here, on Pancake side, I strongly consider like a Robska oriented lead.
Yeah.
Or
like
a
Gliscor
Bramblecast lead.
Yeah.
So let's see what the players actually did. So we do see the Ride and Rotom, and we see the Robska oriented lead.
Okay.
It's exactly the words I said. So I watched this game like half a week ago when it came out, but I was like, I'm trying to give like my actual analysis.
I don't have any memories of anything I watch after like 2 hours.
What's the thing?
I think I watched this game, but I can't quite remember.
What's the thing that Gandalf says? I have no knowledge of this place.
You shall not pass.
No, he says.
It is never early
nor is he late. He arrives exactly when he means to. And that's what the authors call foreshadowing. The Intimidate
he
here
insults the hobbits a lot.
He also, but no, I was thinking it says, I have no memory of this place. I think he says that in Moria somewhere, but I'm not 100% on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He also says, I am not trying to rob you, I am trying to help you. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're not robbing you of your time, we're helping you get better at competitive draft league.
Tricks.
Which was a lie. Anyways, so also haven't commented on the nicknames. Xavier's nicknames are definitely some. So
Sigma.
I think that you're reasonably likely to expect like a Discharge and Rock Slide to come out, or it could be a Shadow Ball and Rock Slide.
Yeah.
You're pretty happy that that one's intimidated. You could actually, well, I would prefer not to Earthquake the Brabska, because it's a bug type.
If like you're confident that it dies to the Shadow Ball.
I would not be confident it dies to Shadow Ball. Rock Slide is also makes it less likely that Stantler's going to do something annoying.
That's true.
Rock Slide Discharge, you know, Para and Fletch. Rock and Stone. Anyways, so you could also switch to Ride on this turn to reset the Intimidate, is the other thing you could consider doing. So let's see. We see the Shadow Ball come out. Do we see a Rock Slide? We see a Rock Slide.
A Rock Slide.
And a critical hit. Absolutely dishonest. And we see the flinch. Absolutely dishonest. Possibly one of the most dishonest plays in the history of the game. So we confirm that the Stantler is not... no, they got the miss. There you go. Citrus Berry. The Energy Ball comes out. We see the Wigglytuff is similarly dishonest. Fake Out comes out.
Okay, so Fake Out was the last move on
Water. So no Protect, no Helping Hand. I think we basically always expected Protect, and we see the skill swap to the Wigglytuff, but the Wigglytuff got completely mogged. The Rizzler was mogged by the Fake Out from Larry.
The Wigglytuff moved first.
Oh yeah, before the Stantler, before the Sigma.
Like, yeah, I don't know how much it would have.
I have to say, I don't think that was particularly skibbity. That also must have been a really offensive Wigglytuff. It took 7 for that Fake Out. It took 60 from the Thunderbolt. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a Terra Electric Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Like, that's a strong Thunderbolt.
It's a pretty strong Thunderbolt. So at this point,
Wiggly is not a good Pokemon.
At this point, Xavier is quite in the back. You have to swap 2 more times if you're trying to swap the Intimidate back on. So at this point, I think you have to try and pressure out the Rotom. You need to hope that whatever Wartortle does, like, you know the Wartortle is not good into Stantler. You need to, you actually know it's not good into either of these Pokemon, right? So you need to ignore Wartortle and try and win in the remaining turns of Trick Room. So you need to focus down the Rotom and hope whatever's in the pack is not a problem. Yeah. So Terra Grass is really good, but I don't think this is achieving the win condition. Oh my gosh, and the Terra Grass came in on the Ice Beam. So they're going for the really long game play. Maybe the last move is Protect. Sorry, is the recovery thing. They got the Intimidate back off. They stole the Guts, and now the Flame Wall is going to pop off, and it's burnt without Guts. And now it's burnt with Guts. Air Slash comes out, and it's getting a KO, but the Shadow Ball is going to take it back. And let's be honest, if you're sorry, all bets are open. Do you think Statler can beat a Guts Heracross?
No.
Comment down below if you guys think that Statler can 1v1 a Guts Heracross with a move that was doing 30% to the Decidueye. Like and subscribe if you think the Heracross
and
wins.
Comment. Yeah, if you think Heracross. Or
also the Rotom just wins, but that aside, that probably killed about.
Heracross got the kill.
That probably killed an extra Heracross behind, like an extra Statler behind that. That's so no game 3 this game. So let's take a look at the incredible prep that we see from Pancake.
That was a stomping. That was good.
We see the Phantom Tax.
That was good.
Was very Sigma with the wide lens there to ensure that they don't miss the Power Whip and Poltergeist.
That's powerful.
So it was not Sash. Wide lens, truly an item of all time.
Specs Wrabska. I did not expect that.
I was saying it could be damage boosting with Throat Spray, but if you think about it, Specs is just a faster Throat Spray, and it had the Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam. I think it probably would have benefited from having more defensive investment and also clicking Terra, but I honestly am not sure it would have. No, I think if it Terra'd turn 1, it probably lived.
Yeah, the Rockslide crit.
I was right. It's Trick Room in Prison.
Yeah, congratulations.
The haters said I was wrong, but I was correct. I don't think we learned any of this about the
Never don't invest HP. Don't invest HP into Wigglytuff.
Yeah,
Wigglytuff has like 1,000,000 HP, but it doesn't matter. It could have 3 billion HP.
Yeah, in Pokemon, there's this thing where the impact of your EVs is greater based on like the actual numbers overall. So Wigglytuff has very high base HP and really low defenses. So even if you just split this HP up half and half between both its defenses, I think you would get more physical bulk and only slightly less special bulk with 0 investment in HP and just the like one I have to do maths, sorry. What's half of 256? 128?
Yeah.
So if you had 128 in both, I think you take physical hit slightly better and special hit slightly worse, which really just speaks to how significantly low physical defense it has. I'm going to quickly double check that. So you take 40 from uninvested triple arrows with 128 defense, and then with max HP you take 42. Yeah, that's min. So yes, you have more physical defense if you have if you have 128 Phys Def than if you have 252 HP. I think slightly less special defense, but I can't be able to check that as well. Because Pokemon is a game of maths, and the most important thing to remember is that nature is so much more important than anything else, and base stats are only somewhat important because EVs are stronger than base stats. But they're best when they're distributed efficiently.
If EV is so strong, why didn't it come here?
Because they won without it, right? It was easy to set. But yeah, I think mostly what this speaks to is in this game, like Wartortle was able to, like they were able to isolate out the 2 threats to Wartortle. Like we saw this in this game, the Air Slash pretty good into Wartortle, and the Ice Beam not that good into the Empoleon. But these two, what's the Gliscor set? That's the wrong button. Gliscor was Breaking Swipe and Rock Slide. Okay, I think this set is bad. Let me think about that again. No, this set is really bad. Why did they have a Gliscor? They didn't do anything. Okay, I think you should probably, just as like a general idea, if you're running a Gliscor with Toxic Orb, you should either be Swords Dance 1 attack, or you should have Facade. And that 1 attack could be Facade. But like, this set is not likely to achieve much. Like Breaking Swipe is okay at dropping attack. Obviously it doesn't do that into Clear Amulet, but I actually don't think that LS had any Clear Amulets. But we also just saw it was like the team was half special. Yeah, no Clear Amulets. But the team was half special.
Only.
And like Terra Dragon, everyone's taking ice moves for you anyway, right? We see the Rhydon here, Ice Punch, we see the Ice Beam here, and then and we obviously see the Ice Stab on the Beartic, right? And then everything else has something for it, right? It's got the Shadow Ball, which is hitting it the exact same either way, and then the Grass Pledge, I think, is the only attack that goes from from neutral to resisted. But you're not beating any of the moves that are super effective being thrown at you because they're all Ice Beam. It's a similar thing. So it's just for extra damage on Breaking Swipe. But if you want extra damage, why are you clicking Breaking Swipe? This team just, I think, was a little bit too passive for the fact that so much of this game came down to damage checks. They managed to completely damage check with the War Turtle. That the team did not have enough damage on these slots. And then when the game changed around and LS was still setting the pace, the tempo that the game was going at, even with Xavier setting up Trick Room, we saw that the damage checks were that this team was not able to sustain that damage, and Gliscor didn't even come to that game, right? So I think both of these moves are just too passive. It needed to have High Horsepower or Facade to be able to contribute consistently to the going on of the game. It probably still would have lost game 1, but it would have been able to come at all in game 2. And like Swords Dance helps a lot. I think this Protect, like the idea is that it can help you get extra Toxic Orb thing to like stall out Trick Room. But stall out Trick Room to what end? Getting Rock Slide flinches for 12%? That was a single target Rock Slide that was 12%, by the way. So that means it's doing what, 9? If it was spread? Yeah, it's tough. Especially when you've invested a good number of EVs into attack. So I think that's my concern. But that said, I think this Empoleon set was quite effective, right?
Oh, it was very effective.
We saw the Grass Knot was okay, but the Air Slash was doing really significant damage, and the Flash Cannon was doing really significant damage. In general, they brought a lot of grass moves sort of on a range of Pokemon to be able to pressure the Rhydon, and that wound up being good at making sure the Rhydon was doing it. Problem was that the Rhydon, because it was Scarf, was still getting that trade on turn 1. So it was good, but it wasn't enough to stop the Rhydon getting stuff. And maybe Stantler was the best possible Energy Ball mon, but I understand why it brought Psyshock. There were a million fighting types. Okay, so we come on to the other side. We see 2 Resist Berries, Culpa Berry and Cobra Berry. The Culpa Berry, I would assume, I think there's a Sucker Punch mon? Skuntank. Yeah, there's the Skuntank. So the Culpa Berry assists in being able to deal with the Skuntank or whatever's next to the Skuntank. Certainly like a Terra Thunderbolt is doing good damage to Skuntank, but also lets you Shadow Ball whatever's next to it or just get a discharge off, especially if you are doing it next to Rhydon, right? It lets you get a Disquake off in front of a Sucker Punch Skuntank. And then the Cobra Berry is here to enable the Grass Pledge and Water Pledge to go off, along with a special defense investment on the War Turtle to let the Swamp go up against Kilowatt Troll if it did come. And you see that there's some SpDef investment here as well. And then all of these Pokemon were EV'd to be faster than most or all Pokemon. Either they were EV'd for Kilowatt Troll in Swamp and Tailwind, or they were EV'd for Gliscor in Swamp and Tailwind. And the Beartic, Terra Water Aquajet, just in case. So, I think, I think that the Terra Ground on Rhydon was not very surprising, because we saw the Rhydon, not Terra in front of the grass. I think on that turn against the Bramblegast and Empoleon, Rhydon is a stronger Terra option than the Beartic. But that turn could have gone badly, right? Especially because the Beartic could have been targeted by a Power Whip. And if the Power Whip had gone into the Beartic, that could have been unfortunate. But you didn't know that the Empoleon did not have a Water Booth there.
No.
To be honest, it could have just Grass Knotted the Rhydon as well. That would do a significant amount of damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there were a lot of like the sort of the game plan that the Energy Ball, Grass Knot, Energy Ball thing was playing towards, and in general the Brambleghast, is a really strong and consistent game plan. It's just that the Gliscor didn't necessarily mesh with that game plan particularly well, and the Stantler didn't mesh with that game plan particularly well. The Stantler obviously worked with the competitive thing, but Life Orb doesn't really work with the, oh, I need 3 turns to be able to get plus 4, or I need a bonus 2 turns to get it off the second time, because I got it up once on Wigglytuff. Either I need to switch out, or I need to skill swap Intimidate back onto me, to then swap it onto the opposing Pokemon again. So that was really complicated by the Life Orb, meaning that the Empoleon wasn't able to sustain, right? It didn't even have Roost in its last slot, it had Protect. So, yeah, I think that's sort of where the tensions in this team were, and it meant that the more passive Pokemon were getting damage checked in terms of their passivity, and then the more offensive Pokemon were getting damage checked in terms of their ability to sustain. So, I think a really well-played game from LS to be able to identify the the flaws and the weak links in both of the game plans that the opponent had, and exploit them effectively. And I think that Scarf Rhydon and the switch up to the Rhydon Rotom lead in game 2 was really, really well done.
I can't say I disagree. Yeah,
that's right. It's in the contract.
Really, yeah, no. You won't let me let go of the fucking spoon if I disagree with you.
That's a very, very large spoon. All right, so on to our second played game of the week. Sorry, did you have any final comments?
No, you basically covered it all. I'm sick of holding this spoon. I'm sick of being the big spoon.
Okay, so something I will say is I accidentally prepped for this team before transactions were updated on the dock.
I was going to ask if you would bring that up.
So this was a Duosion, and this was a Basculin. I made a prep decision that was very scared of Basculin. And
I mean, look,
to
be fair, I'm terrified of Basculin even in games where Basculin doesn't show up, it's a monster.
Dude,
so I
had all my Pokemon speed trained for Basculin as well. I could have had so much more bulk. Oh no! I could have bought Staravia. Because Staravia is only slower than 2 Pokemon. Also, they didn't have Duosians. They didn't have, they only had Trevenant for Trick Room. Man, yeah, that was... So I prepped pretty hard for Pokemon that they had dropped in transactions. And I think that is shown when you look at my team. And I think that the decision, I will say I bought Skarmory. I think I would have been less likely to bring Skarmory if I knew there was a Magneton.
Yeah.
Probably still bring it though.
You know, Magneton doesn't famously beat Skarmory.
Yeah, I mean historically, Magneton isn't known as the main guy that for generations 3 onwards was the main thing that you did to stop Skarmory from being annoying.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
So, what do you think of when you look at this matchup and your boy, my opponent? What are you thinking?
If I'm your opponent, I'm looking at this matchup. I'm thinking, wow, I hope he preps to the wrong team. But I'm also looking at this, and I'm going, this is a very scary team. And it is a bit of a scary team, but there are just certain sort of Pokemon that I can, I guess, use to position myself. I really like Honchkrow in this matchup. I think, given its access to strong Sucker Punches and and a decent special attack to fire off some special moves, you do have a hard time to hurt it, especially if it manages to Terra up pretty early.
Yeah, so there are sort of 2 core Honchkrow sets. There's the physical Honchkrow set, which is Moxie, Sucker Punch oriented, and then there's the Tailwind, Scope Lens, Super Luck, where you run a special variant, because it's got quite close physical and special attack, but special gives you access to Heat Wave, Spread Move, historically one of the moves of all time in this format, but we've got the Weavile and the Skarmory, both of which are pretty fragile to Heat Wave, so the Scope Lens crit set is definitely something to consider bringing this matchup as a Tailwind option as well. Because this team is, a lot of it is a lot slower than mine, but faster in Tailwind. Even Dragolgi, I think, can outspeed Weavile in Tailwind. I don't think he can outspeed Jolteon, though.
I think you're right.
He can definitely outspeed Espeon.
I'm not getting the boys in the lab to confirm this, it's too much complicated math for them. Yeah, so that's the main thing. The other thing is, I guess I feel like their team needs to dictate terms in the fact that they need to, have I think they kind of if they have speed control, they're gonna do really well, and if they don't, they're kind of stuffed. So I think it's like the first turn or two is really important because I think that sets the tempo for the whole thing.
So they've got 3 main speed control options.
Yeah.
So they've got Tailwind, Honchkrow, they've got Trick Room, Trevenant, and I thought they also had Duosion for Trick Room.
They've got like Electro Web.
They've got then they've got like the more conditional one, which is to say they've got Sandspit, Sandaconda, then they've got Icy Wind from Ambipom, and Electro Web from Magneton.
Yeah.
And then theoretically also Quag and Dragolgi, I believe.
They do have a lot of strong priority as well.
Yep.
So
Accelerock,
if they get
Fake
in a
Out,
decent
and
position,
Quick Attack, and Sucker Punch.
Yeah, if they get in a decent
Basculin
position,
Aquajet.
Wow.
I was very scared of the Basculin Aquajet, which they did not have.
Alcremie, I don't think can ever do any decorate shenanigans here. It's probably just an okay Pokemon. I just don't think it can ever do any.
Yeah, Alcremie is like reasonably threatening to a number of my Pokemon. I think it sort of demands that I bring like at least 2, if not all 3, of Pyroar, Skarmory, and Clodsire.
Yeah.
Okay. Expert podcast hosts.
No problem. Sorry, I suddenly had to return to my home planet, but I'm back again.
Do they need you?
They thought they did, but they didn't.
That's fair enough. That's sort of how I'm feeling right now. You're not doing much to dissuade that perspective.
No. Nah.
Yeah. So this team,
no.
Lycanroc is a very significant Pokemon in their end. It threatens my faster frail guys with priority, and it's also faster than most of my team. And it can run coverage move for Clod, which is my only rock resist not named Timber.
Yeah, it's a good Pokemon. I just think
Clod does not have a very high physical defense.
Magneton is also quite good in this matchup. Outside of Pyroar, your top like 6 guys don't match up that well into it, like Clodsire also does, but it is just a decent enough Pokemon here. Like with the Eviolite, it is going to be quite tough for some of your, like, for a lot of your guys to beat it. So that's another good thing. Thank God you managed to prep against it, otherwise, you'd be in a bad time. And they have original Quagsire versus Clodsire, match of the century. Let's see who can win.
Yep, that Quagsire is totally coming against the Hydrapple team.
Yeah, and the other
Weavile
thing is that I'd be very scared of Dragalge if I were you in Trick Room or in Tailwind, because
I should bring a lot of guys that are designed to threaten Dragalge in Trick Room and Tailwind.
Yeah. So that's kind of my general thoughts. Like, I just think it's very much dependent on the first couple of turns and who can establish the sort of good position, because I think whoever gets that good position wins. If it's neutral, I think you win, but if they manage to get it, I think they'll win pretty convincingly.
Yep.
Yeah. Really,
so we come to team
I know that
preview.
sounds basic, but I think that's just how you beat your team. It needs to be.
No Alcremie and no Basculin. Now, the viewers at home are not surprised there's no Basculin, but I am very surprised there's no Basculin. And then on my team, they're like, oh, no Hydrapple, that's not that surprising. They brought a team which is pretty good into Hydrapple, right? With really only the Sandaconda maybe not being good into Hydrapple, at least okay into it. They brought a lot of guys that are pretty good into it. They see the Clod is maybe a surprise to them, I'm not sure. I think it's probably the least immediately obvious Pokemon that I can bring, but I just felt very scared of the Alcremie. And they said later on, and I think it makes a lot of sense, they weren't planning on bringing the Alcremie against a team that was bringing Pyroar and Skarmory and possibly also Clodsire, and then also Weavile's good into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, that's fair.
No, I think the 6 they bought makes sense. I think the 6 you bought
were terrible. Worst decisions you could ever make.
No, it's fine. It makes sense. Like, I'm looking at these 6, and it's like, is there a Pokemon I'd rather have? Like, guess. Like, you know, maybe. Like, which one of your Pokemon would you rather have in this situation? Like, maybe Hydrapple. Hydrapple was like the major one.
I'd honestly just like to not have a Jolteon on this team. Like Bennett, like for what they brought, Bennett's pretty reasonable. But probably not the guy. Clearly, I mean, Clawitzer, pretty okay as well.
Yeah, like I think Clawitzer and Hydrapple are both okay, but like
yeah.
It's
but
not like,
really, this is a Staravia matchup. They only had 2 Pokemon faster than Staravia. I could have had Staravia here.
Yeah.
But I was so worried about the Vasculine. Also, Magneton didn't come. Clearly, they recognize that Skarmory just doesn't lose to it. I just run Shed Shell. Kappa. Totally not any of the other Pokemon that I have on this team, which are quite good into it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
lead type. They can either lead Trick Room or Jamba Bomb, and Jamba Bomb lead is pretty reasonable. And then on my end, I think they just expect me to lead fast and strong guys, whether that's sort of any of the Pokemon that aren't Claude and Skarmory next to each other. Or I could lead Skarmory, and if I'm leading Skarmory, that advertises Tailwind. Honchkrow, if they are Tailwind, is a pretty reasonable lead. And they could theoretically like build for the Lycanroc lead with the Sandaconda guy. Probably don't lead Dragolgi. Even if they are going Trick Room, they probably don't lead Dragolgi.
Yeah, I don't think you lead Sandaconda and Old Mate together. I think you lead Sandaconda and have Old Mate in the back, and then
yeah,
you know.
But you could lead. I mean, you could just lead Lycanroc here because there are 2 Pokemon that are faster.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I mean, like, it's definitely... And if one of my Pokemon hits the Sandaconda first, then it's suddenly faster than both of my other Pokemon, right? Like, if they lead Weavile Jolteon and then I Shadow Ball the Sandaconda, then all of a sudden Lycanroc is moving faster than both my Pokemon and could, like, Rock Blast a Weavile.
Well, it's moving faster than one Pokemon because you've already used
attack. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's moving faster than the next Pokemon on the next turn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, now we go to see what the actual team leads are. You see 2 fast Pokemon, and then you see what I think is basically advertising I am clicking Tailwind in this matchup. So, I think that this is like... I'm sitting here and I'm like, everything I'm pretty sure is shiny on their end.
Oh, okay. Less powerful.
I don't like shiny Honchkrow much. I think it's a bit garish.
I think part of the garishness is why I like it.
It does fit with the Honchkrow, but it doesn't fit. But it's the same as Murkrow, and it doesn't really fit stylistically on Murkrow, so I can't really call it a stylistic decision because it's just the same they did on Murkrow, where I don't think it made that much sense.
Yeah, weirdly Murkrow came first, but maybe they designed Honchkrow around the shiny. Totally. I think if I'm your opponent here, I am terroring the Honchkrow and clicking Tailwind, and just either attacking or clicking Coil.
Well, you click Protect and High Horsepower.
That's also another decent option.
Yeah, if you like the Sucker set, Protect and High Horsepower or Switch and High Horsepower, both pretty good options.
Yeah.
So let's see. I go for Protect and Psychic Terrain, and they miss Heat Wave because... Oh, wait, sorry. They do not miss Heat Wave.
No, they do not miss Heat Wave.
That's a Protect. Sorry, no, I just paused too quickly. Like, did they miss Heat Wave? I don't know about that. So they're playing around a Sash on Jolteon. Pretty reasonable. Psychic Terrain goes up. Now, who is the worst player in the history of the game? Would you look at that? Would you look at that? So Sand goes up. Obviously, that's quite annoying. Sorry. I am the worst player in the history of the...
Oh.
I clicked Psychic Terrain again. I meant to click Expanding Force.
Oh, yeah, that would have been funny.
I meant to click Expanding Force there.
I've got a question.
Okay.
Do we know how much investment, like, if based on...
That looks like it's quite invested. Possibly modest, but not necessarily modest.
28% to Espeon?
It's a non-stab Heat Wave to a Pokemon that is good natural special defense.
Yeah, with a little HP, I don't know.
I mean, look, I'll double check that right now for you. My perception was that they had some Spatak investment and were probably the Super Luck set on this turn. So I'm looking at it. And 28 is the min roll for Modest to 0 bulk Espeon. Obviously I have some bulk because I was speed creeping for Basculin, even though I should have been speed creeping for Honchkrow, and had more bulk or potentially Modest. But yeah. Expanding Force here knocks out Sandaconda, and then I don't take this hit. Well, sorry, I still take that hit. No, that's right. The Sandaconda sets up. But yeah, so annoying turn. They're pretty likely to, go for a defensive play here. I go for the Axle here. I probably should have doubled the Honchkrow, but yes, it's Terrid, and from that, Pellet's probably got max HP, and it lives the triple Axle, but it will die to Sand. Unfortunately, it gets the critical hit here, which means that I die to Sand. It's 50% chance with every single time it clicks a move because it's got Super Luck Scope Lens. But if I hadn't crit the Weavile, it lived this turn. If it didn't click the Jolteon, I'd take less damage. So, you know, both pretty favourable turns. And I can't tear anything, which means that I'm pretty likely to just get double up and lose this turn. From that...
Yeah, that's rough.
Lycanroc, probably just Jolly Max. That makes me think it's probably Focus Sash. We haven't seen an item with a Sandaconda. It could be Pinchberry, it could be Clam, it could be
like a
Cloak?
Like a... Yeah.
Like Iapapa is what I mean by Pinch.
Yeah, it could be a... Actually, no, I doubt it's a... I doubt it's any sort of resist berry, because... Triple Axel...
Yeah, not great in DH. Like, DH isn't great into Jolteon.
Yeah.
Scarlet? Weavile. One of the Pokemon on my team. So... I mean, I got damage checked here, right?
If only. Yeah, like, it was a pretty...
Yeah. The Sandspit, pretty good.
One.
Sandspit, quite a problem for me, so I just need to lead in a way to prevent Sandspit. So I think that I am basically mandated to lead Pyro here, because it's the only Pokemon I have that can one-hit KO the Sandaconda. I'm pretty sure, I don't know this 100% for sure, but I'm pretty sure if you do 100% damage to the Sandaconda, then Sandspit doesn't activate, but if it does anyway, man, that ability is really, really badly balanced. Like, that's not, like, an interesting... Like, there's no way to counter it, because it plays off moves, so, like, you run... I mean, I hit it with a special move, right? If it still works, even if the Pokemon gets OHKO'd, that's not a very fun, like, move. But yeah.
I can't say I'm sure. I can't say I'm 100% sure. I've never really tested it.
Yeah.
But so you're thinking Pyro, what's leading next to Pyro?
I think I'd just pick one of my fast guys, right? Or I could do Scarm and try and Sword Stance. I think those are my two main options. Okay. Oh yeah, my Scarm and Sword Stance, they have no idea because they haven't seen Scarm. They also don't know anything about the Clawed because it just died. Like, they didn't even get to check if it was, They know it has some Fizz Def investment from the Rock Slide.
Yeah.
But they didn't even get to check if it was,
I think,
like, Citrus or anything.
I think about the opponent, I'm basically just bring the same lead and just trying to make you deal with it. Especially, like...
The Sandaconda is like a major lead. Like, I'd be...
Yeah.
I'd basically always lead the Sandaconda. I think you could lead anything next to the Sandaconda and it makes some sense. So let's see what they did go with. Did they run it back? We see they did not run it back. Instead they went for Dragolgi. You look at that and, Dragolgi seems to kill all of my Pokemon. And also, I can't beat it with anything. Because I don't have the Weavile at lead.
Dragolgi was a really good call. This is bad into Weavile, but I think...
Not if you Terror the Dragolgi, right?
Yeah.
Because if I kill the Sandaconda, then they get to bring in Lycanroc in Sand, and then it's good into Weavile. And if I target the Dragolgi, if it Terrors it, takes it well, right?
That makes sense.
So I go for the switch play, calling the attack into Jolteon. I call it wrong. They win, basically. Now, the reason they win is because... So, one thing, they've got this. They go for the double to break the Sturdy and the Terra Blast Fire here. So the Sword Stance doesn't work out. I go for high horsepower. It doesn't KO. I should have run more damage. So here, they coil, and I go for Curse. Now, Clodsire should always win this exchange, because it has the ability Unaware. However, I prep for a Basculin they didn't have, so I have Water Absorb. So I've lost.
Okay, that's not good.
Also, the Ambipom didn't die with the Life Orb thing, because it's got... but, like, it shouldn't even have been close, so it's not even speed corrupt.
Yeah.
But yeah. Fake out Covet. Covet's bad, it means that I don't get to get most likely Citrus Recovery. Sorry, fake out Normal Gem, which means it's probably Covet. It steals my Citrus Berry. But I should, like, if I'm on away here, that's like, whatever the thing the guy says is. Like, I take literally half damage from that. And then I am able to recover this turn, but I'm not able to because, like I said, I should have just prepped and played better.
I think, like, it's
missing the Basculin was really dumb.
Yeah, it's rough.
But I lost by a lot, and yeah, the Dragolgi turn, I could have protected the Scarm, I could have done like a million things, but like, they called me on turn 1 with the Jolteon Sandaconda thing. I like did that whole thing about the reason I'm leading Pyroar is because it's the only one that I have that's good into Sandaconda, and then I decided not to protect it. Which is not very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play this game particularly well. Like, we don't even get particularly much information. Like, we see that the Dragolgi speed invested, probably Life Orb. I ran some speed on the Skarmory with the idea being it's faster than like a min speed Honchkrow, but ideally, like, the idea was just that, like, a Dragulgi would likely be slower than me. Specs, Overheat, the Terra Fire is fighting is just for suck up, which, yeah, whatever. They didn't wind up bringing, they wound up bringing special, so they could still have sucker in the last slot, but also there's Dark Pulse, Heatwave, Protect. And I brought Mirror Herb because I could theoretically have, copied like Decorate boost or something. It was just for fun. It was originally Twisted Spoon, wouldn't have achieved anything. It could have been Colbur Berry, that would have been nice. It also could have been Psychic Seed, which wouldn't have worked because I did get Dark Pulse crit, but on the 50% chance I didn't get crit, I would have lived if I was Psychic Seed, which was another item I did consider in prep. Yeah, if this Clod was unaware, I think it won this game. No, that's the wrong game. I honestly don't think any Pokemon they had... sorry, let's see. Let's look at the Honchkrow. So it did actually have Air Slash, and it had Whirlwind, which wouldn't have mattered. But Air Slash is the one option that the Honchkrow has. Because it does have it, if Honchkrow is in the back here, it can beat the Terra-Fighting Clod. Otherwise, the physical attackers can't beat it, and the Dragulgi is unlikely to be able to beat it. Though maybe if there's like a bad crit, that would be the main way that it could lose, if it was unaware, but it wasn't unaware, so... Just bad prep on my end. A helping hand.
Helping. Good old helping hand. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was bad prep on your end necessarily. I think it was very.
I mean, not being unaware was bad prep. This wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but like,
they brought like this Terrafire
given
Blast.
the circumstances,
I was
like,
Terra Steel on Scarm. That was bad. This Terra Ghost wound up not particularly helping. This Terra Ghost wound up not particularly helping. I don't know.
But I can understand why.
I feel like it was good prep.
It's not like it made. Yeah, it didn't. Like, there's a difference between like incredible prep and bad prep, though.
I just said I should have played in prep better.
Really well.
I don't think I played particularly well. I think I had a lot of outs that I didn't.
The Haze on Trevenant is the interesting one, but
you're right. If they had Haze, they would have won. No.
Yeah, Haze is interesting. I wonder what that was for.
I don't know. Curse Guy, Hydrapple maybe, Scum. Man, I had all these setup moves and they had anti-setup moves. That said, Scum definitely beat the Trevenant because it already got the SDL.
Yeah.
But the Terra Blast Fire was back-breaking prep, and they just kept up really good offensive pressure into my team. 4-turn game, 8-turn game, but when we say 8-turn game, the game ended... When did my other guy faint? Skarmory fainted on... No, Jolteon fainted on turn 4, so this game was over on turn 4, and this game was also over on turn 4. And then this, like, if I was unaware and won, it also still would have been over on turn 4. Like, there was no...
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, like, it was a game that was really decided by them playing very well in the first 3 turns, and then being able to ride out the game on turn 4
I think that's kind of what that's kind of what we sort of talked about.
It's a very volatile matchup.
Lead up anyway. Yeah.
I mean, most of my matchups
I think a lot of your yeah, I think a lot.
That's because of the team,
right? Early game positioning, yeah. Very, very.
I mean, most games come down to early game positioning, but maybe less extremely. Like maybe less games go to 8 turns that were decided on turn 3. You know.
Yeah. Anyway,
but like realistically, I think I lost when they revealed the Terrifier.
I think the Dragalge League game 2 was really, really
very effective.
Yeah.
And like they did the body press play for it, and we saw that the Santa Connor was Lumberry, but not Rest. So I don't actually know why.
This team also for like you bringing Psychic Terrain. This team had like very little priority, which was just a bit sad. Like
they didn't even have Accelerock on the Lycanroc.
Yeah.
So I mean I don't know, man. But I was right that this was Sash. Yeah, like the Santa Connor being Lumberry. Like, do I even have like a Pokemon with Wisp?
Yeah, Pyro.
Yeah, I guess. Banette. Banette's the other one. So like, yeah, it's like Yawn. I did almost have Yawn instead of Roar on the Espeon, but yeah, the Espeon wasn't particularly impressive.
I don't think.
And the Sandspit was very good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Coming to game 3, your game, because you take forever to play games. So,
yeah, I do. I think I played like 20 minutes off. Didn't I play like an hour after you or something like that?
Yeah, well, mine was a really late game because your boy is always busy like throughout the entire week.
Yeah. So this game, God.
So I played at 10
There's
a.m.
a lot of similarities.
And
actually.
you also
I'm playing
played
a
at 10 a.m.
Magneton. I'm playing a Magneton and a.
Well, I didn't know I was playing Magneton, so that doesn't count.
I'm playing a Magneton and a
Dragolgi.
Ampom and a Dragolgi.
The Everhorn Dragolgi, and then you're also playing the Robska from the other matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
They just are leftovers. And then if you look at your team, it's like it's cobbled together from the leftovers of our teams.
Exactly. I'm the leftovers. Just splash me on every defensive Pokemon for a couple of generations in a row because I'm leftovers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
so
you should splash me on every Pokemon subsequent to leftovers era, because I deserve some heavy duty booing.
So this matchup, what did I even bring? I don't remember. But
Flygon! Look at the Flygon matchup! They have no Flygon counters if you ignore the Pokemon that counter Flygon.
Yeah, they actually do have some Flygon counters, which can
if you ignore the Pokemon that counter Flygon. I was very clear.
That's right! So, going into this match, I was worried about a couple of things. I was worried about some Halucha shenanigans with, the Impy Dimp prankster Swagger. I thought that was a bit annoying. I was a bit worried about Golurk offensively, just because, I felt like Trick Room's pretty important, but also that their Trick Room, if positioned right, can really just beat mine. That Golurk is a menace into my team. Dragolgi is.
I just want to quickly interject.
Yeah.
They do not look very similar.
What?
You know, the Impy and Impy.
Impy Dimp.
So the question is, which one do you think is has portrayed them incorrectly? I think it might be Civilization.
I think it's Civ, easily.
After all, Impidimp is from Galar, the British region, and the British region, the British are most famous for being the antagonist in the award-winning film Zulu.
Yeah, this is true.
In which they fought against Impies.
Yeah.
Though, so confusingly, in the film Zulu, they didn't have guns, even though in the real world they definitely had guns. Similar to this Impy. Now, Impidimp does your favourite thing that you love, Swagger.
Yeah, Swagger, Mirror Herb, bullshit with fucking Hawlucha. I was big worried about.
I feel like you could have done slightly less swearing in that.
No,
so, Flyjon.
Where the bloody hell are you?
If you think about it, Flyjon. Anyways, you're completely impervious to that, because you usually Weavile, and then some other Pokemon, and Terra Dark, and then they can't swagger you. They have to swagger their own Hawlucha, which they could just do anyway. The Mirror Herb stuff is Mirror Herb is funny at all, but you could just do have an own tempo mod, or have Lum.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure someone else ran Swagger, and it was on a Slowking. And it's okay.
Regardless, they've got there's that.
And then they have to worry about that from you, because you've got a Slowking. you could do that and then get the Timber riled up, you know? I mean, Timber's probably coming this match.
Are pretty strong. What Timber?
Gerda. Sorry, I have a Timber. You have a Gerda.
You have the Timber. I have the Gerda.
I know. Just taking leftovers
now, huh? Yeah. So
mine.
I think
probably.
I think there's a lot of Pokemon.
I'm pretty sure you drafted the Gerda 2 days before I drafted Timber. So.
Quite likely. I do like Miss Magius on my team as well as Weavile on my team.
Is this another Scarf Miss Magius next to Flygon lead?
I wish, but there's I think just a couple of leads that really wreck that.
The Impidimp lead.
Yeah, Rabombi is pretty.
To be honest, you don't bring Hydrapple here at all, right?
No.
Hydrapple has an okay matchup into Magneton.
It's good into it's decent into Golurk. It's
I mean, not if Golurk has Iron Fist Ice Punch.
Oh yeah.
Or if it clicks Poltergeist.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But so there's Dragolgi. They have several bug types. They have a good flying type. They have big Jimpidimp, as he is known, mostly because he dips at the gym. And then they also have MF Doom, which has Snarl, which is not great, but you could always be Clam or Cloak. And they have Croconaw, which, if you think about it...
Yeah, I mean, it's basically for Alligator.
And for Alligator's classically quite good.
Yeah, I'm a big for Alligator. Yeah, so there's a lot of things. Also, I will say, looking at this team, I do like a Venomoth into this. This might be the one.
Shroomish has like absurdly bad stats, doesn't it?
Yes. It evolves very early because of its bad stats. Like, that's sort of part of it.
I can't wait till they make a third Breloom evolution in Pokemon.
Yeah,
the one that they're making. Oh, that's right. It's Pokemon ZA.
It's got 60, 60, 60 in its defenses, and then
40 attack.
Attack, and then 35 speed. It's not a great Pokemon.
If you think about it, probably an absolute killer in doubles Little Cup when you side Toxic it.
Yeah.
Because then you have Eviolite and Poison Heal.
That's powerful. Yeah, so I think it's just a matchup where I have to play this pretty well, otherwise I could lose. I think it's a pretty neutral matchup in general.
I think Weavile is pretty good in this team.
Yeah, but Weavile's like the best Pokemon in, like,
if you think about it,
ever.
Weavile beats all of their Weavile checks, which is just Houndoom.
Yeah,
they have one Weavile check, and it wins.
Yeah, like Weavile does 50%, so...
Yeah, because I believe Houndoom, when it Mega Evolves, when Pokemon Mega Evolution was this old mechanic that was really ridiculously broken. Whenever they Mega Evolved, they got 100 base stat total. It was really fucking unfun. One of the worst mechanics they've had in the history of VGC. You know, back with like when Fisher Tinglu people thought was good for 2 seconds before they realized how to play the format. You know, Mega Houndoom gained like 60 Fist F to make its defense equal to its special defense. I think it's got like literally 50 physical defense. Let me double check that. Yeah, it's literally 50 physical defense. So yeah, it's not taking Weavile particularly well, but it is offensively, you know, it is putting out damage checks into Weavile, which you can either sash or you could potentially run investment for, or you could Terra, or there's obviously like a number of options you have. But that's what Gerda's here for, the Mark Punch. I mean, if you look at this matchup, doesn't Berserker just like eat if you get Trick Room up?
It depends.
I know that I just got Terra Blast Fire, Dragolgi, right? But I don't think ordinarily. I don't think that you're like Terra Blast Dragolgi. That's the main thing I'm scared of, because normally when you click Terra Adaptability, you lose the adaptability on your normal types, on your normal stabs. So that's quite a disincentive from it. So that's why I don't often assume it.
Yeah. No, I think it's fine. It just is a bit worried into Golurk. But it's still it's a decent Pokemon. Like, I just think they're just Golurk matches really well into my slow mode, so it's a bit of a worry. But yeah, Berserker is quite a good Pokemon. This is like a pretty decent on paper team, to be honest. Again, the boys in the lab confirmed, last respects, 5 is a bigger number than 4. So that can also be scary.
Last respects? Do you mean Revival Blessing?
Yeah, Revival Blessing.
Anyways, this is Berserker.
Okay. Good old Peter Griffin. Yeah. Some little shit at work said I looked like Peter Griffin.
That's really funny.
Almost arrested that
That
day.
is really funny.
Yeah.
You do not look like even remotely like Peter Griffin. That's really funny.
Oh, you look like Ed Sheeran. No, actually, you look like Peter Griffin. And I'm like,
okay,
yeah,
now you just doxed your hair color.
Child.
To be honest, you do sort of look like Ed Sheeran if, you know, he like ate Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Was like ultra buffed and like 7'7" and, you know.
Yeah. 7 foot. Totally words that I know what that means. Is that like 160 centimeters?
It was
your actual height?
And was bald and was named The Big Show, and
where is the Big Show?
Former professional wrestler of The Big Show. Anyways,
what we're basically saying is that Rage Powder Venomoth absolutely wins this game.
Sure. I think it could.
Oh yes,
anyway.
And also, sorry, the other thing. Rage Powder Venomoth with Wonder Skin, the hard counter to the Impidimp Swagger.
That is very funny.
So, let's go to team preview. We see the Impidimp, we see the Croconaw, we see the Golurk. Why the hell do we see the Croconaw? Why is the Impidimp and the Croconaw both here? Why does this entire team lose to Weavile? No one knows.
Well, yeah, so no,
and then we see, like we said, Venomoth 6-0. Venomoth 6-0. None of these Pokemon take Sleep Powder. I'm just going to double check Robsco's Synchronize and Telepathy. Okay, Synchronize does not work on sleep, I'm pretty sure. I don't know why. Like, that's a really dumb decision. Like, we just go back to the balancing decisions of, what was the other one I was criticizing? Oh yeah, Sandspit. And then Synchronize doesn't work on sleep or freeze. It only works on burn and poison. And
I'm not
paralysis.
surprised Impidim's here.
Like, why?
I did not at all prepare for the fucking Croconaw, so...
So, do we see the own Tempo and Venomoth, and Weavile lead to prevent Impidimp? Or do we see... they could do screens and like a setup Robsco, or they could do screens and a setup Croconaw. And if you think about it...
A lot of options.
Nasty Plot Houndoom kind of 6-0s, if you ignore the fact that it doesn't.
That's my favourite kind of 6-0, just ignoring anything that changes it.
I think this team preview, I think you immediately think the Weavile is Covert Cloak. You consider Mental Herb pretty likely on the Cloaking. It could be Life Orb, but I'd expect Covert Cloak. And then I think you expect this Misdreavus to be Life Orb or potentially Sash. Basically always expect the Gerda to be Flame Orb. And the Berserker, it could be AV, it could be Citrus Berry.
It could be Eviolite if you want to like really bulky check to something.
Yeah, but against Dragulgi, I think you like the clicking Facade.
Yeah.
And also you like Mark Punch actually killing Houndoom. It could be Iron Fist, but I would probably lean towards the Gut set.
Well, let's see.
And then on the opposing team, the Croconaw is most likely Eviolite, the Impidimp is most likely Sash. Dragulgi could be Life Orb, Houndoom could be Life Orb, Houndoom could be Scarf.
Yeah.
Robska, possibly like Citrus, it could be Leper Revival. But I'd probably lean towards like a Citrus or a Mental Herb itself.
Maybe 6 Pokemon is... I'm going to assume 6 Pokemon is hard to kill them for.
Not really, if they're spending 2 turns clicking Revival Blessing. Or like, not hard to kill them 5, sorry. So, Dragulgi is what I was trying to talk about. Dragulgi is a Pokemon that, it could be like an item dropping thing to be able to check Trick Room.
Yeah.
The Golug also could, but I probably think it more likely Dragulgi. But something you want to keep an eye on if you do get Trick Room up. Like Slowking and Gerda are the main like Trick Room speed guys because Berserker sits in the middle of Golurk and Dragulgi. But like if you see Golurk move before Dragulgi in Trick Room or after Dragulgi outside of Trick Room, you're like, okay, well that's going to be slower than Berserker. Now, you don't actually have to have brought Trick Room, right? This wouldn't be the first time that you were like, I've brought Trick Room, guys, totally. And then you actually just run max speed and then just beat their Pokemon up. But I would probably not expect that.
I did that a lot a couple of seasons ago.
I think if you want to do Croconaw, you probably... Like, if you're bringing Croconaw, it's either coming game 1 or it's not coming, so I think it's probably coming game 1. And
that
then...
makes sense.
On your end... You could really lead any of your 6. I don't hate like a Gerda lead if it is Guts. I think if you see Gerda at lead, it's definitely Guts. But I don't hate a Gerda lead if it is Guts to get the Flame Orb off. I also don't hate like just like a Weavile Mismagius lead.
Yeah,
they did not bring Holucha.
Yeah,
you did not bring. You did not bring
Flygon or
the Gon. Obviously, Gon isn't like actually that good, but into this 6, it's good.
Or Hydrapple. Yeah. Both these teams do seem like more sort of slower teams that have like a fast mode, but they definitely both feel more slower. I think Partis's team a bit more than mine. So I think it'll be interesting to see the Trick Room games because just looking at this as someone who
surely Trick Room will
imagining
be going up
I haven't
game.
played this. Yeah, like I'm imagining I didn't play this. I didn't watch this. I'd imagine okay, tricks are being roomed here.
I think if you see Berserker lead, it's very likely like Assault Vest with U-turn specifically.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I would gather. So we see the lead, Weavile, Slowking. And then we see Impidimp and Croconaw. I think this basically means Croconaw setup. Impidimp is support options because it's an Impidimp. We see pressure on the Weavile. That makes me think very, very likely that the Weavile is Covert Cloak rather than Sash. The Slowking does not show Curious Medicine.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So we see Fake Out come up for the Impidimp. I think you basically expect the Impidimps getting doubled here.
Yeah.
We see the Impidimp clicked a move before Croconaw. Now,
So-
it could mean that the Impidimp is just faster speed invest than Croconaw, but most likely the Impidimp was clicking a Prankster move.
Yeah.
Houndoom comes out. Now, if you look at this Croconaw, you're like, this Croconaw's probably still slower than Weavile. So the question is, can the Slowking Terra in a way that makes it feel better into Houndoom? And do you double Houndoom or do you double Croconaw? I think you probably lean towards doubling Croconaw. Also, the fake out to 35.
That's Impidimp is not a bulky Pokemon.
Certainly not when it's got like no bulk investment, eh?
Yeah.
We see another Unnerve come out, so the pressure on the Weavile is basically so that if they lead both, the pressure can check for if the Houndoom is Scarf.
That was literally my plan, yes.
Yeah. So that's the main reason. The two reasons to run pressure, either because you forgot, or because you're doing it to check if the opposing Pokemon has a Scarf lead. Also, pressure is funny, so, you know, like, if you have, like, a plan with the Weavile, you know, if you're like that, if you're running Restalk Amnesia, I don't know if it gets Amnesia, but if it does, if you're running Restalk Amnesia Weavile...
That would be nice if it did.
Pressure stall. Hell yeah. Very viable in VGC. So, looks like the double's going into Croconaw, and you see no Dark Pulse go into the Houndoom. The Houndoom does a lot of damage. You wonder, okay, does that just like a roll? We see Trick Room come up. You're like, okay.
Well,
this is probably not a great position for Pardus, right? So the reason that you didn't necessarily expect Trick Room is you don't know whether Venomoth and Miss Mage is at the back. Obviously, when you see Trick Room go up, you know that these are the two Pokemon coming in. The question is, what do you have in the back? If you have Golurk, you often switch it into the Houndoom slot on this turn.
Yeah.
If you Protect, you should consider clicking it. That Heat Wave into Glowking, we don't know enough about the Glowking set, but at this point they'll know how specially defensive it is, depending on how they're invested. But to be honest to me, this Houndoom doesn't look like it's particularly invested. Like, it's certainly not specs based on that Glowking damage.
Yeah, for sure.
So it could be, maybe it's got like a boosting item, like Expert Belt, or maybe, you know, the Weavile doesn't have much investment or whatever. But I think often you wouldn't be surprised if a Weavile lived that turn when you don't see a Life Orb come out, and you see that it's not specs. So it could be modest, or it could be getting a roll, depending on how the investment goes. At this point, I think you expect sort of a CC into both slots. And like I said, if Golurk's on the back, Golurk is coming in. Robska could also, like, all of them sort of come in, and they come into the Houndoom slot, most likely. So, let's see, we see a Terra Water here, playing, oh yeah, and like I said, we see Protect if it has it. We see Terra Water here, playing defensively around the Houndoom, staying in, potentially being Sash. Like I said, you expect the Impidimp to Sash, but maybe it's, like, we know it's not Covert Cloak, which is the other main item. Maybe it was Light Clay. So, playing around that. Fake Out comes out here, which is, I'd imagine, to try and punish, like, a potential switch with the Golurk. You don't want them to get, necessarily, the Houndoom in for free. So you see that come out. And what you see is a very large amount of damage coming out here. 61% into poor Houndoom. And the Dragulji comes out. The Dragulji is naturally slower than the Berserker, so you expect it to be moving first if they've EV'd to check Trick Room, which means you basically always expect the Berserker to go down here. Losing that Terra Steel, losing the Steel typing obviously not working out as well as one may hope, but obviously if you died to a Flamethrower that turn, would also not have been very good. And if it is Citrus Berry, you don't know. You think it's probably Assault Vest, because that was at -1 that it took at 60%.
The close combat was definitely a throw there. Facade would have been better because Facade kills Houndoom.
Yeah, sorry, the Drain Punch, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, the Drain Punch, yeah. I just saw, Drain Punch. I think, like, Facade probably kills Houndoom. It was a big throw clicking Drain Punch there. Also, Drain Punch apparently wouldn't have killed it somehow. Well, no,
they would have done 4x as much if they hadn't carried.
Yeah, so yeah, like, Facade was definitely the play
so
there.
So the Draco comes out, confirming the Flame Orb Pokemon, definitely not EVL Light. So then the question is, do you have Protect here? No, basically guaranteed Assault Vest.
Yeah. Done. Oh well, looking into it, Game 2.
Good response from Pardus.
Yeah.
And the Protect on the Houndoom was basically what won the game.
Yeah. Oh, and the Terroring, and me not Facading.
Yeah. But, like, the Protect was the only reason they were able to put themselves in that position.
That's true.
The fact that you had to close combat, which means, like, the thoughts are, okay, so the last move here, like I said, very likely Assault Vest, and they'll know for sure based on the Dark Pulse damage. That means that you're thinking knockoff, U-turn, or in general, whatever move it is not one that's threatening to the Croconaw, because if you had Seed Bomb in that last slot, you definitely would have gone for it and removed the Croconaw without having to get that -1/-1, and that could have meant that you'd live that Dark Pulse plus the -2 Sludge Bomb. Not necessarily, but you could have. We see no Life Orb on this set, so that doesn't tell us anything. We see the Draco's gone off, so not White Herb, which is like potentially an option. Obviously, I don't believe you had Intimidate.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so White Herb is always like a decent
option.
option.
On my team.
Yeah, that's what I meant by I don't believe you had Intimidate on the team.
Yeah.
So we see. Sorry, I rushed ahead. I apologize. I was going to ask what switch ups do you see, and I think it makes sense not to change and just play differently.
Yeah, for me, not changing because I think if I played better, I could still have won there.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit risky, but also like basically, I do think the Weavile cloaking lead is probably the best because if they lead, for example, Golurk, which is good into my Trick Room mode, Weavile is quite good into the Golurk.
There appears to be no reset button.
No, just go previous turn a couple of times.
Oh, okay, it works. Oh gosh, I apologize for that, guys. Yeah, so Golurk is definitely like a strong option on their end. It looks like the Croconaw set. You just don't bring Croconaw again, even though it won. If you ignore the fact that it won, not very good. Sorry, I meant to mention the burn, the Heatwave burn. It was this Heatwave burn here that knocked out the Slowking and wound up winning. Like removing it, even though it was quite threatening to the team from there. So, definitely a relevant turn that I meant to mention that. So we know it's not sheer force. Nah, I'm just kidding. We know this is on Nerve. You think that... Yeah, I don't think you really have a particularly good idea of what the Houndoom's item is, but there were a lot of circumstances which didn't activate, and you saw that it did have Protect. Not very clear what the item is, but it, like... It seems to provide some utility. It could potentially still be Expert Belt, but probably not Charcoal based on the damage to Slowking. No idea what this Robska is. No idea what this Golurk is, and I don't think we got an idea of what the Dragolgi's item is. We were able to eliminate a few options, but we don't really know that much more beyond that. But we've got a very good idea. We think the Impotent is very, very likely to have been Sash, and we know that the Croconaw is EV Online. On your end, they know the Weavile is not Sash. Again, often means Covert Cloak. It also wasn't Life Orb, which is the other thing that it often may be instead of Covert Cloak. Berserker, Assault Vest, Gerda, Flame Orb, and then... Did they see an item on Cloaking? No, they didn't. So they're not necessarily sure what the item is on Cloaking, but they may think it's a Resist Berry. Not necessarily good, because Houndoom, the main mod... so there's Golurk and Houndoom. Not necessarily good because of the Unnerve on Houndoom. So, turn 1. They are probably prepping for this lead, and I think that means the Golurk is probably going to Terra against the Ice move.
Likely. Likely, but the good thing about Weavile is that it has 2 moves that are good into Golurk.
I'm pretty sure you click Triple Axle this turn, by the way.
Oh yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
But because Triple Axle does more damage than Knockoff.
Yeah, but Knockoff is utility, and you know, if you get a critical hit, then it's pretty good. Sorry, I will say, Golurk, I think you actually expect like Terra Fighting to be somewhat reasonable because it wants to like dynamic punch No Guard you. No Guard is an ability which means that you hit Triple Axle, which is nice. So we see the Earthquake come out from here. That suggests to me they're going to consider doubling the Cloaking potentially, or they might be splitting damage and throwing like a Bug Buzz into Weavile. So Telepathy, you know, very cool. Oh, we see a Sugar Berry come. Well, that's quite good, and we do see that they in fact doubled the Weavile. Earth Power is an interesting move to see on the Robska.
Yeah.
If only because I don't think it hit that many Pokemon on your team.
No.
So if we reflect, Earth Power allows it to hit Slowking
and
Lantern.
Oh, and Berserker.
Berserker. Yeah, sorry, Berserker. So that suggests its other stab is probably Psychic. I feel like if it had Bug Buzz, it would have gone for it there and gotten a Throat Spray, but maybe at this point it could still be like a Throat Spray Bug Buzz set. But either way, they're like, okay, well, this is mildly annoying. If you have, like, say, Terra Flying, then it's possible the Golurk is entirely walled by the Slowking. And now we see if the Slowking goes for Trick or not. Nope. Sludge Bomb into the thing, gets the poison because 30% is a higher number than 10%, and the 10% happened last game, and that's just how math works.
Yeah.
So see the Robska is not Citrus Berry. Again, that makes you lean towards Resist Berry or Throat Spray.
Yeah.
Now, Terra Steel means that the Golurk is not loving the Girder. That said, it's probably still well out of range of Mark Punch, so it does get to go first. But the other thing, we don't get any information, though. Sorry, no, that's not true. No, I'm just not going to. Sorry, I had a stroke in the middle of saying that. Let's just ignore
That's
that.
fair enough.
So the Robska. Sorry, they switched to Golgi, I assume, on the Mark Punch.
Yeah.
Or Drain Punch, potentially. So we see a Drain Punch come out.
Yeah,
enables them to reposition and bring out the Impidimp. I apologize, I did not pause quickly enough.
Well, they were what's his name? The Robska went last, implying that it was going to click what do you call it?
The Robska didn't go last.
Yeah, I Terra Ghosted assumed just to deliver what do you call it?
Earthquake.
A Earth Power or an Earthquake. Yeah.
It also did more damage.
That was my best use of Terror at this point, and yeah, it did.
Sludge
Bomb,
Bomb,
that I
like KO'd for that range,
even
but
though
yeah,
it
we'll just
probably
pretend
killed
that's
anyway.
not true. The good thing is, Impidimp coming in
Yeah.
cannot fake out the
Yeah.
Slowking, so then you switch the Girder out, which plays around fake
Yeah.
out. And switching in Berserker, they should be very unsurprised to see Berserker in the back on light of the fact that you had See, I would not have guessed that Impidimp from the back from here. I would have probably thought it was Houndoom. But you know, Fake Out is able to assist them in getting turns off, and they can potentially start out your Trick Room if that winds up being a problem with the Impidimp. But now, yeah, the Berserker is very likely to take 2 hits that it takes reasonably well, or you see a Draco go out into the guy from here. Now, you actually do see, and this is somewhat surprising, the Slowking move before the Jagolgi.
Because I didn't do my speeds properly, because I'm an
No,
idiot.
fucking stop. Okay, you're spoiling the thing.
Oh.
Just last game we were commenting, we don't know what this Jagolgi item is, so what you may think here, if you're not just ruining everything...
To be fair, I don't even remember what the Dragolgi item is.
Just, yeah, okay, but we don't know. What we see at this point is we saw it move, sorry, we haven't seen it move relative to the Robska. So at this point, we think, oh, maybe the Jagolgi is power item or Iron Ball. But thank you for just okay.
I don't even remember what. Like, you're telling me I don't remember what item it is. I don't
fucking know if it's that item, right? But we're talking how's good analysis, and the good analysis as someone watching this game isn't. Oh, clearly the most reasonable explanation is that Keith brought speed EVs, which was slower than Robska but faster than Jagolgi, which means it's probably speed tying Robska. Like, that's literally a 1 point difference. At no point is that a reasonable conclusion to draw here, and that's only something that you find out at like when we look at the prep, right? Most people at this point, and this is the thing we're trying to do is build up analysis skills, not you know, like. So we do find out that that's a different thing. Is it power item?
Then? Yeah, that makes sense.
We don't know if it's power item, but we think it is because it just moved before the Slowking, which was slower than Robska, and that's literally again a 1 point speed difference.
Yeah,
okay.
That's true.
Now stop. Yes, you did also mess up your speed things, and it has 31 speed IVs, so it's speed tying Robska. But okay. Good. So that means that you know it's faster than Jagolgi. Good on you. Or potentially also speed time the Jagolgi. But yes, Draco comes out because they went for try and remove the Girder, prevent it from doing things. Yeah. But the Berserker switch was very effective. I think they feel like they're somewhat in the back right now, so they're making plays to try and win that. And we do actually see they have a jetpack. I didn't actually know that a jetpack didn't trigger if you didn't have Pokemon in the back that were alive, but it doesn't, as we found out earlier this thing.
There you go.
And that means, at this point, now we're continuing the analysis, right? At this point, you're like, okay, well that means the Slowking is just faster than the min-speed Jagolgi. You couldn't wait half a turn, literally one more move, to talk about this.
I didn't know.
You didn't need to talk over me.
Oh well.
Okay. Fine. God, you just the analysis. The analysis there is you would expect. Oh, that means it's that thing, and then you see it's not, and then at that point you come there. You could have just forgotten that you were speed wrong, you know.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm stupid.
Okay.
Anyway,
and at this point, at this point they've seen that they're Trick Room, so they know all 4 moves on the Slowking. They know it doesn't have Protect. They know it's Terra Ghost. very well understood on how it is. Unfortunately, it still lives Earthquake. And if you're Poltergeist, Poltergeist, it's immune to Poltergeist because it's eating a Shuka Berry. So, what's the question? Also, the Berserker's just come in, so it can fake out the Golok.
Yeah, it is, I think, slower than the Golok. Is it? I don't remember. Is it like base speed wise? Is it slower?
Berserker is naturally slower than Golok, yes.
Yeah, it is naturally slower, which can be a bit annoying. The fake out here is very live on Berserker if it has fake out. I don't know if it has used or revealed fake out.
It used fake out last game.
Yeah, so the fake out is very live if it has it. So that's nice, and the fake out has been used by the Impidimp. We don't know anything about this Impidimp.
So the Impidimp...
do know...
It's very likely Sash.
Yeah.
So, fake out the Impidimp to prevent it from setting Screen.
Yeah.
And now you can set Trick Room up for free! Woohoo! And then they side T-Wave. So,
oh my god! Oh.
The side T-Wave to make themselves slower, because Grimmsnarl and Scary Face.
Cool.
Impidimp does not. If you side Scary Face, you got to go first. That said, for the same reason that it couldn't kill Golok last turn, Slowking last turn, it couldn't kill Slowking. And for basically the same reasons, except we also add in the fact that Poltergeist just doesn't do enough. It couldn't kill Gerda anyways, so...
It doesn't kill Gerda, and Gerda...
If it went for the Gerda damage, then a lot of that was covered back this turn. It's unlikely that that would have changed the game, but it was, you know, it's a cool play. It just is unfortunate that it wasn't given the opportunities. So we see Drain Punch come out. So what we've seen from this set is Drain Punch and Facade. You think knockoff, very likely for Golok, because otherwise it's hardballed by Golok, or it could potentially be Ice Punch. And then the question is last move like Helping Hand? Is it Protect? Is it Mark Punch? That's still pretty open. Like you may have expected to see a Mark Punch come out at some other point in the game. If it was that, but it may still be it. We've seen all 4 moves on the Slowking. We've seen only like Triple Axle Fake Out Knockoff. So we don't know if it's Protect, maybe Ice Shard, maybe Helping Hand, maybe Icy Wind. There's like a million moves you can put on the Weave on that last slot. I think Icy Wind is somewhat unlikely though, given the speed matchup stuff we were talking about earlier. Could even theoretically be like a fighting move, maybe like a Terror Blast for Houndoom. Though, again, it doesn't necessarily seem super likely. And we've seen just Fake Out at Close Combat 9 head. We're still thinking that last move is probably Knockoff for the same reason that it's very likely to have Knockoff on the Gerda. And we're still pretty sure that the Berserker is Assault Vest. Especially with how little it took from that Draco. Where's the Draco? This time, 38% from an adaptability Draco. Definitely makes me think Assault Vest. No information on the Venomoth and Mismagius, but one of them is probably Focus Sash. And otherwise, we've got some limited information on the Houndoom. We know that the Golok is not a minus speed thing, and it's probably Assault Vest. From the way that it's been played. And the damage that it's taken from moves. So, let's come to the last game. Beautiful set down, Don. How do you adapt?
Well, there's a couple of things I can do. I can do the tried and true formula, or I can mix it up a little bit.
And what did we say earlier, guys? This team? Completely destroyed by Rage Powder Venomoth.
I did feel like Venomoth could be good. I felt that going fast might be a good idea. Or fast as in like have 2 fast people and then 2 slow people.
Or 3 fast people.
Mixed. Yeah. Or like, you know, 1 slow. Like there's a couple of options there.
We've seen that Gerda, Slowking, and Berserker all are difficult for the opponent to deal with. And they're all pretty like reasonable brings on a fast mode.
Yeah.
I probably lean Gerda, but like Slowking is definitely a solid option. But honestly, like the Mismagius Weavile lead is a pretty reasonable option. On the opposing side, you could consider bringing Impidimp. We actually have not seen screens from the Impidimp, so it's gone for Fake Out and Thunderwave. You'd assume it has some nominal attacking move, not necessarily, but some. It doesn't. It is never Click Protect, so maybe it doesn't have it. I wouldn't be surprised. I think you do maybe still somewhat expect Swagger. You haven't seen items come out. Maybe it's Confide with the Mirror Herb on the Houndoom. So there's still a few options there. And then the Robska, I don't believe we saw an item on. No, we didn't. You haven't been using this knockoff for scouting much, I'm noticing, you know.
No.
Yeah. So, let's go to the lead. We see Weavile Mismagius come up, and then they go for their fast mode lead, Houndoom and Golok. The good thing about this is that, like with the Houndoom and Golok lead, they're Terraflying on the Houndoom. Oh yeah, sorry. When we saw Terraflying on Houndoom, I think that should have meant, when we then saw it lead next to Robska, we should have realized that meant that it's the Golok has Earthquake. Because the main reason to run Terra Flying, Terra Blast is, you know, it's okay, it's not great into your team, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fighting resist, but like often you go Terra Fairy, and there are other ones that don't make you then weak to ice.
Yeah.
The main, I think, incentive to go for Terra Flying is because you want to be able to Earthquake next to it. That said, you don't necessarily want Earthquake next to it against Miss Magus, so...
Yes.
At this point, they don't know what those Magus is, but they have a reasonable... like, they have good reason to suspect it may be Focus Sash, because the Weavile is a Focus Sash, and you just let it.
This is an interesting sort of lead, because there are Pokemon that are all, like, very much threatened by each other. Like, this
it's
is...
a very volatile lead, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a powder keg.
Oh, also, the Houndoom on Earth went off before pressure. Scarf.
There we go.
Sorry, I forgot to finish playing out the lead thing. Here we are.
Wait, but... no, Houndoom's protected.
Do I just not understand how this mechanic works? Because I thought that was how the mechanic worked. Is it is it wrong on Showdown? Because this was definitely true. I remember back in Gen 7, people would run Scarf Kyogre that was slower than Koko to bluff the Kyogre not being a Scarf. And they'd run it next to Koko. So they'd leave the Koko and then get the Electric Surge, and then they would have the Drizzle go off after the Koko. So is it just wrong on Showdown?
Maybe the messages are I don't know. But yeah, unless Weavile could be slower than Houndoom, I suppose.
That's true.
But
I mean, it would not be the
Houndoom's
first speed investment decision you'd made. I mean, it did move faster than Weavile than in the other game. Maybe it's a speed time.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, that's weird.
Oh,
Anyway.
sorry. I did not mean to click the... okay, let's
You were so furious. You requested help from Discord.
No,
Help.
I just got a message, and then I tried to click the escape button, but it's next to the F1 button,
yeah.
and F1 is the help button, and unfortunately it decides to open that up
gotcha.
in your browser. Yeah, so, very volatile lead. I think that you expect one of Pardus's Pokemon to get double attacked here, and it doesn't really matter which.
Yep.
The Miss Magius, I think in this matchup, very likely to be running Power Gem to be able to hit the Houndoom. So let's see.
No.
Pterodactyl comes out. We see a knockoff
Seal.
come out,
No.
remove the Assault Vest that we had mentioned was there earlier, and then Shadow Ball go there, remove it. Didn't matter if they Terra or not, it was fainting, so they wound up just losing their Terra. And then because of this Terra Dark, very likely to live the Heat Wave. Now when you look at that, it lives the Heat Wave. And now all these Pokemon are super pressured, but like a knockoff Power Gem into Houndoom is very bad for it, and Shadow Ball knockoff, honestly just a knockoff into Robska is pretty good, and then maybe a Power Gem into Houndoom. So we see the Protect come out here, knockoff, and then Power Gem into Houndoom. They are able to remove the Weavile. Even if they hit, they would need to burn, and the burn still wasn't enough to KO. Yeah, we reveal the Mach Punch at game 3. Now,
and then Mystical Fire.
Yeah, the Robska has got very good special defense, so the Mystical Fire here to drop the special attack, very good play, means that whatever it clicks, like we saw last game with the Born attack one, like it's got Dazzling or whatever.
It's less likely to
it's
be able to...
unlikely to be able to KO Godot with Psychic, and unlikely to be able to pick up Miss Magus with Psychic, if it has it, which is what we think it has, because it Earth powered a Weavile.
And it literally did matter.
So, yeah, quite an impactful turn. The question is just, can Dragolgi beat 3 Pokemon? Depends what the 3 Pokemon are. It's a -2 special attack, and would you look at that, Venomoth 6-0. If the Venomoth is Rage Powder here...
This is the first time Venomoth has hit the field, by the way.
If the Venomoth is Rage Powder, then it can stop. Then it can let the Gerda guaranteed Facade the Dragolgi, and if it's not Rage Powder, it can probably set up. Because the Dragolgi needs to not get hit by Facade. Also, Sleep Powder is like an okay option. But yeah, Rage Powder here, Sludge Bomb takes very, very little. Facade comes out, and Mach Punch, and look at that. Sludge Bomb KO.
Venomoth has come to 1 game, and it has 1 kill, and it has 0 deaths. It is the 100%
win rate.
Best performance. Yeah, that's probably the best performance a Pokemon has ever had.
Look at that, the Spadef EV is paying off. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure someone's brought a Pokemon to a game and then it's gotten 4 kills, and then not died before.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, expert EVs, zero bulk. Expert EVs,
Expert
zero
IVs
bulk
as well.
for the Robombi. Yeah, the zero speed thing, dude. I've been trying to build a Katana in another league, and I'm trying to run like the timid set. Like I've like looked at it, and you run like 19 attack IV, so you get speed boost from beast boost. And it resets it to 31 all the goddamn time. I don't know why it... Like, I know why it does, but I don't know why it does. It's really annoying. It only does it for attack, because it defaults it to 0, but when you've got attacks, it then sets it to then 1. It's really frustrating. I'm really worried I'm going to get in the game, going to have the damage reduced because of Swords Dance. Sorry, because of the, because of Timid, and the, like, 0 investment and minus whatever.
And it's not gonna
but then I'm going to get an attack boost anyways, and I'm going to lose. Get Revenge Guilt or whatever. Yeah. Expert EVs, living that... What did you live?
Psychic.
Yeah, living that Psychic with that Mystical Fire boost. It's so spit F, and it got OHKO'd by that Draco. Dragolity, man. What a Pokemon.
It is
What a hero!
scary Pokemon.
Yeah, that broken Mismagius.
Yeah, it's
broken Weavile. Broken Venomoth. With the Wonder Skin. With the Wonder Skin to dodge the Thunder Wave.
Yeah.
Struggle Bug as well.
Was a bit of a interesting bring, but I think, you know, it didn't end up mattering too much.
That Mark Punch in the first slot, only getting shown in Game 3. Alright, and then we come here, we see it was screens, it just only clicked them on turns it got faked out, I guess.
Yeah.
No attacks. Probably could have just never touched that Pokemon ever and won.
Yeah, possibly.
Do the DD Croconaw.
Yeah.
Brokerage. The Power Herb Solar Beam Houndoom. I don't think I don't think at any point that it was evident to us that it had Houndoom. I thought it could have had Taunt. You know, it could have had Roar. There's a million moves it could have had that one Power Herb.
When I was playing the game, I had no idea, and I do.
So just to be clear, right? Do you want to count off your very long list of water weaknesses on your team?
I mean, grass
weaknesses.
There's Lantern.
Yeah, there's only Lantern.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's only for Lantern. This is Power Herb Solar Beam, only for Lantern.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, because Flygon's Dragon. And,
yeah. What? What the... Wait, what? Is it for Terra Ground Grumpig, maybe?
I mean...
I don't know. This is a big
Grumpig is one of the... I think we proved...
It's just more powerful than you are, I'm sorry.
That Grumpig is the bulkiest of things.
That was max HP, and it took like 36 from Fake Out. That's great. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't run speed, is that the Weavile is then faster. Not that it mattered, because you didn't kill the Weavile anyways. They targeted the Slow King, but like, man. And yeah, this whole best. I think a lot of this... So it didn't actually run Dynamic Punch. Stone Edge was their move of choice to hit Weavile. Stone Edge would have hit that Terra-flying Glow King that you didn't bring, because the Glow King was Terra Ghost.
Yeah, it was not optimal. That was not optimal.
What wasn't optimal, sorry? The speed stuff. I mean, Ghost wound up being effective because you got extra damage on Shadow Ball.
Oh, I think, like...
And you were immune to Fake Out from Imdip, which was actually very impactful.
Yeah, but I think, like, being Fairy or something would have been good as well.
Well, being immune to Fake Out on that turn and getting that switch into Berserker for free and, like, getting damage off that turn was a very impactful turn.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I think that when you saw the Venomoth come out that last turn, you had no idea what the Venomoth was. The Venomoth could have been this set, or it could have been like Life Orb, or it could have been like Quiver Dance. You know, I don't think you necessarily knew from what you saw there. But you know, if you think about it, Venomoth, possibly the greatest Pokemon of all time. Thank you everyone for watching. I need to go to sleep.